Hey everyone, so I have been filming a lot of drugstore related videos in 2023 so far because I feel like 2023 is just the year of really good drugstore launches. We have seen so many new drugstore makeup releases over the last few months. I mean, we're only really like 2 months in, but we've seen so many launches. So anyway, I've gotten a few requests lately to film some videos on like my favorite high-end products that I think are worth the money because maybe you don't necessarily love drugstore makeup or the brands aren't easily accessible where you live. So today I wanted to share my number one favorite product from each category at Sephora. So I got this video idea because I was on Sephora's website. I don't know if I was just like browsing. I wasn't placing an order because I haven't placed any Sephora orders yet in 2023. But as I was like hovering over the makeup section, all of the different categories popped up. And there are so many categories. And I thought it'd be fun to share my number one in each category. Some of these are like best sellers. So when you click on the foundation category, it's the first foundation you see. Some are more underrated, so you kind of have to scroll to like the 5th or 6th page to see the product. But either way, these are products I love. I think they are worth the splurge. I've had the majority of these for years. Some of them might be a little bit newer, not really. The majority of them are older favorites. I kind of want to do a video on the worst makeup products I've tried in every category. I feel like that could be fun. So let me know if you'd want to see that, but let's jump into it and we'll kick it off with complexion. Let's start with primers. So I tend to reach for drugstore primers overall. I feel like the majority of the primers I own are from the drugstore or an affordable brand. I don't have too many high-end primers, but one that I love that I do think is really nice is this one from Caliray. This is the So Blown Clean Blurring Primer. This is the type of primer that just makes your skin feel so smooth. And I think the issue with a lot of smoothing primers is they can either be very slippery, so my makeup ends up moving around and settling into fine lines, or they can be really mattifying, so they make my skin look a little bit dry. This one falls right in the middle. It is incredibly smoothing. There's definitely a blurring quality to it, but it feels hydrating on the skin, but it's not slippery. So when I wear products on top of this, they just look super smooth, and it's such a great option to kind of kick off your makeup routine. I wouldn't say it extends the wear of my makeup, not like a gripping primer would, like the Milk Makeup Hydro Grip, but I feel like day to day it is such a nice option because foundation just applies perfectly on top of this product. Speaking of foundation, I actually wanted to mention an older favorite. I've been using this one recently and it just reminded me how much I love it. This is the Fenty Pro Filt'r Soft Matte Foundation. So currently I wear the shade 150. When I loved this product years ago and I was wearing it like exclusively, I was wearing the shade 140, but I feel like 150 is kind of a better match because it's not so yellow toned. I also have the shade 145, which I feel like is too yellow toned too. I need to repurchase this because I'm actually almost out of it, but I love this product. It is such a gorgeous long wearing matte foundation. I got away from this one for a little while because I was reaching for more of like a satin skin-like finish, and this one definitely is like a true matte finish, but I feel like I'm kind of having a moment with matte makeup, matte lip products, matte foundation, so I've really been enjoying this. It's very easy to apply. It stays in place all day long. I do like to pair it with a glowy base, and I feel like that kind of tones down the really matte finish just a little bit, so it is more skin-like. It has really good coverage. It lasts all day long. It's not heavy on the skin, and I think because I hadn't used it for a little while, I was expecting it to feel really heavy. That's not the case. It's very light. It's not quite as light as more of like a light to medium coverage finish, but for a full coverage, long wearing matte finish, I feel like it just looks and feels really good on the skin. I do have a tinted moisturizer I love. Honestly, I'd like to try more tinted moisturizers in 2023. I have a hard time finding tinted moisturizers that last on my skin. And when I put makeup on in the morning, like I want it to last all day long. A lot of people are like, why do you wear foundation? Why do you cover your freckles? Why do you hide them? It's not necessarily like hiding my freckles because I do have a lot of freckles. I either wear foundation that's long wearing that tends to even redness and acne scarring, or I just skip it. I'm not generally like a super light coverage fan because for me I'd rather just skip over it and not take the time to apply it. And I also feel like the issue for me is that because my skin tends to be more oily, a lot of tinted moisturizers just don't last, so I'd rather just not take the time to apply it. So that's why I tend to reach for more of like a medium full coverage foundation because it's long lasting on oily skin, and my skin does tend to get really red, although it's kind of calmed down a little bit. Anyway, long story short, I love freckles. I think they're so fun. I don't have anything against them, but I also love makeup and I love to wear it. So that's just kind of why I skip it or I go for like the full thing. That being said, I do love this tinted moisturizer from Tower 28. It's the SunnyDays Broad Spectrum SPF 30. I have the shade 15 Melrose. So this is not necessarily the most long-lasting base product for me. It definitely gives my skin a really beautiful glow. I love using it because it does have like that SPF 30, but I still wear sunscreen underneath. But on days where I do want something just very light, very quick, I'll just apply this with my fingers. It blends in really nicely, but again, it's not quite as long wearing as like a true long-lasting foundation. I was looking under the BB cream CC cream category. I wasn't really expecting to find anything that I use regularly because that's not like the type of product I go for, but this one was actually under there. And It Cosmetics calls it, well, they call it the Bye Bye Foundation Full Coverage Moisturizer. So I guess technically it does kind of fall under that category. It has more of like a CC cream texture than a regular moisturizer, or than a regular foundation does. But it definitely has the coverage of a foundation, which I guess some CC creams do. I don't know, it's been a long time since I've been into like BB creams and CC creams. I feel like when I first started YouTube, they were really popular. There was one from Pond's that I used to love. That was forever ago. And then one from Maybelline that I feel like a lot of people enjoyed. Anyway, this is a nice option if you have oily skin. They have a glowy version that is super glowy. It's a little bit too glowy for me. It just doesn't last on my skin. I kind of want to mix that with this. I feel like that would be a good option. But I have the shade Light. I feel like I could go one shade lighter. Like during the summer, this will work for me, but it's a little bit dark right now, so I haven't been using it. I love this product. I think it looks so good on the skin. It's a little bit more natural than like a full coverage foundation like the Fenty one. The coverage is not quite as intense, but it does have more of a matte finish. I love this product. I think it is a really good option. I just need a little bit of a lighter shade, so maybe I'll pick up the shade Fairlight. For concealer, I almost mentioned the new Urban Decay concealer, but that is new to me, so I didn't want to mention something I've only been using for a few weeks. But I have to say, I do really enjoy the new Urban Decay Quickie Concealer. I'm wearing that today. I feel like it's very smooth on the eyes, or the under eyes. It stays in place well. A little bit goes a long way, and it just blends in easily. So that really has been one of my favorites, but my true like long time #1 product in this category is the Too Faced Born This Way. I want to say they launched this in like 2016, 2017, and I've been using it ever since. It really is such a staple product. It definitely has more of like a satin finish. It's very pretty on the skin, very light, but the coverage is nice. And there are days where I'll just use this as like foundation. I'll just apply a little bit to any areas where I need coverage, blend it out, set it with a powder, and it looks so good. Now, it's not going to stay in place really well on like a super hot summer day. For me, like my skin will definitely get oily, but it looks so smooth. Like it just looks very good on the skin with really nice coverage. So I love this one. It's still a staple of mine. Setting spray is something that I always forget to talk about on my channel, but a lot of you ask me like, what is your go-to setting spray? And I don't use setting spray every single day. I tend to use it on like more special occasions, and then during the summertime when I feel like I need my makeup to last a little bit longer. But I've tried a lot of great setting sprays. I feel like there are good options at the drugstore, but my favorite of all time is the Urban Decay All Nighter. I just feel like this is the best. Whenever I do someone's makeup for like a wedding or prom or a dance, I'm not a makeup artist, but I have a lot of like cousins and family and sisters and friends who ask me to do their makeup. I always use this product on them. I still remember doing my sister's makeup on her wedding day. It was so hot that day. Like it was the middle of July. We live in the Northeast, so it doesn't get super hot, but I swear it was like 90 degrees. And I sprayed this all over. And like because she was wearing a strapless dress, she had like makeup on her neck and her chest. And she was like hugging people all night. She was dancing. She was sweating, obviously. And like her makeup did not move. I used a ton of this. Like I layered it on while we were doing the makeup. So this really is the best, in my opinion. I think it does lock your makeup into place so, so well. But again, it's just not something I use every day. I guess I could. Maybe I should start using this more often, especially with like lighter products that don't last as long. Maybe that is the solution to my issue with light coverage foundations that just don't last on my skin. But I love it. I think it is such a good option. It's a tried and true favorite for sure. As for powder, there are a lot of powders I like, but my favorite, like the one that I instantly knew I wanted to mention in today's video, is the LYS Triple Fix Translucent Setting Powder. I love this for everything. I love it for under the eyes. I love it to set my entire face. I love to use it to kind of like diffuse the edges of my cream products, to set my cream products. It's so light, so gorgeous on the skin. This is the type of powder that I feel like most people would like, whether you're someone who is like a big fan of powder or you're someone who doesn't tend to prefer powder. This is such a beautiful formula. I've repurchased it. I mean, honestly, I don't go through it very quickly for how often I use it. And it comes with 0.23 ounces, so not a ton, but because it is such like a light, fine powder, I just feel like you don't need a ton of it, and it's just so pretty on the skin. Okay, let's talk eye products. So my number one palette is Sephora. I went back and forth. I almost picked two, but I was like, no, you're narrowing it down to one. So I almost went with the Patrick Ta Major Dimension 2, the rosy toned one, which I love. I think that is so stunning. That was my favorite palette of 2022. But you know what? This is my favorite palette of all time. It is. It's the Natasha Denona Bronze. I just can't resist this one. I haven't actually worn it too much recently because I really reach for this one during the summer, the fall, the holidays, and then in January and February, I tend to wear like pink tones and purple tones all the way through spring. But I absolutely love this. I just think it is such a staple for me. Like these are the shades that I love to wear the majority of the year, and it just makes doing like a bronzy, mid-toned golden eyeshadow look so easy, so flawless. So this is definitely my number one palette at Sephora. My number one single shadow is this one by default because I don't have a lot of single shadows. In fact, I don't know that I really have, do I have any other single shadows from Sephora? I do have some like liquid shadows, but anyway, I went with Urban Decay Moon Dust in the shade Space Cowboy. There's just something about this. It's so pretty, and I always end up reaching for it to kind of complete more of a subtle look. I'm a sparkly eyeshadow fan. I'm a shimmery eyeshadow fan, metallics. I rarely, well, not if ever. Sometimes I do like a fully matte look, but it's very, very rare. And if I am doing more of a matte look, usually I'll end up reaching for this or something like this to kind of complete it. So I love it. I do think it's expensive for a single shadow, but I find myself reaching for this really often. So I would say that I've gotten my money's worth out of this. If you like the ColourPop shadows, the shade Ritz is a really good, I mean, it's a shade dupe. They look identical on the eyes to me personally. They're very different formulas though. This one is a powder. It's kind of like, I described it as like a hard pan shadow. That's kind of what it feels like. And Ritz is like a cream. So they are different. And there are people who swear by this one. Like when I said that I had heard Ritz was a good alternative, some people were like, no, 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 no. Like there's no replacing Space Cowboy. Urban Decay also makes my favorite liquid liner. I've had this for years and years. I mean, I've gone through this multiple times. It's the Perversion liquid liner. I love the brush tip applicator. Lately, I've been using a felt tip just because I've kind of been rotating through some different options I own. And a felt tip works well, but nothing glides on like a brush tip. Like this is just so easy to work with. Because it does glide on so easily, I feel like I have a tendency to go overboard with my winged liner when I use a brush tip. And usually with a felt tip, I get a little bit more control, but I just love the fact that it glides on my eye so easily. I get a perfect wing. It stays in place well. I love it. I'll always repurchase this. It really is a staple for me. For mascara, I chose the Tower 28 MakeWaves mascara. I feel like there are probably a couple of different ways I could have gone with this because there are a lot of high-end mascaras I love. I do tend to repurchase my drugstore mascaras more because I feel like, again, the drugstore just does mascaras so well, and I'll buy a high-end mascara if I can get it on sale during like 21 Days of Beauty at Ulta, or at Sephora, like the VIB sale, but I love this one. I think it's such a good staple. It does a great job at giving my lashes a lot of volume, but it also like lifts and curls them and opens up my eyes. So I've enjoyed this. I have repurchased it, even though they just launched it a few months ago. For eyeshadow primer, I go back and forth. I either go for Urban Decay's Primer Potion, and then when I use that up, I usually switch to this one from Smashbox, then I go back to Urban Decay. But I do think as I get older and I deal with like a little bit more texture on my eyelids, and they're not necessarily as smooth as they were in my 20s, I tend to like this one a little bit better. It's the Smashbox 24-Hour Photo Finish Shadow Primer. Now they did repackage this. I haven't tried the new one to know if it is the same, but I've been using this one for years, just on and off. I hope it's the same because when I run out of this, I probably will try it, although there's a new primer from Essence that I really like that's like $4. I feel like they're somewhat similar, but this one does a nice job. It's very smooth on the eyes, so if you want to create like a really smooth canvas for your eyelids, this product is perfect, and I don't have any issue with eyeshadow creasing when I use it. So this is my number one, but I hope they didn't change the formula. If you've tried the new one, let me know. Are they the same? For brows, I just chose one product instead of choosing like a brow gel, a brow pen, a brow pencil, because honestly, I don't know that I have a favorite in every category. I tend to stick with drugstore brow products. So I don't talk about this a lot on my channel because like I said, I used a lot of drugstore options, but I do love this. It's the Kosas Air Brow. I think I got a kit last spring or last summer. I can't even remember, but it came with a tinted brow gel, a clear brow gel, and then also a brow pencil. And I love the tinted brow gel. It kind of has like this moussey whipped texture. So it looks really good in the brows. It's very intense. So this one adds a lot of color to the brows. It's not like the hold isn't over the top, but I do feel like it kind of lifts my brows and gives me a very fluffy textured look, which is what I go for. So I love it. I don't love it more than my drugstore options, but it is my #1 brow product out of everything I've tried at Sephora. Actually, I did a video a few months ago on like makeup the drugstore does better. Like makeup categories I tend to only buy at the drugstore. So that would be like, for the most part, lip liner, brows, a couple of other things. I'll link it below if you want to check it out. But there are some categories that I feel like the drugstore just does better than high-end brands. And I feel like brow products for me is the brow category is that, you know what I'm saying, brows. As for false lashes, I tend to stick with drugstore brands because there are just a lot of great affordable options, but there is a false lash style at Sephora that I love. I tend to wear these on special occasions if I'm going to like a wedding or I was going to say a date night, but probably not these days. I can't remember the last time I went on like a fancy date night. My husband and I are going away for our anniversary this year, and my mom is going to keep our baby overnight, and I'm so excited. Not to be away from him, but just to like, we're going to New York City and we're going to go see Taylor Swift just to have like a weekend away, and it's going to be really fun. So I'll probably get dressed up for that. But anyway, most likely I would probably wear these if I was like a guest at a wedding or I was going to like a holiday party. This is the House of Lashes Style in Iconic Light. These are so gorgeous on the eyes. I kind of wish I was wearing them today. I'm wearing the Ardell Demi Wispies, which are a little bit more subtle. I feel like this side's kind of falling a little bit. But I love these because they're dramatic without being so significantly over the top. Like they're kind of a little bit more dramatic on the outer edges, so they give you like that winged effect, which paired with winged liner, they just look really nice, and I love them. I think they have like a regular iconic version, which I don't think I've tried, but I do like Iconic Light. On Sephora's website, they actually have a category for eyelash serums and then also brow serums, which I didn't realize there were so many options, but I actually have a choice for each of those categories. So I've been using the Grande Lash and the Grande Brow. I quit using the Grande Lash last month after I just wasn't really seeing results, and I switched. So my favorite lash serum, I'm trying to think of how long I've been using it while also talking at the same time. I can't remember exactly when I started using it. I got a comment from Vianney Strick, who has the most amazing eyelashes, saying she uses that. And then I also got a few recommendations from you guys. So I picked that one up, and that one has been working so well and like fast. I've been using it for a few weeks and I saw such a dramatic difference pretty quickly. I've been using that I think for over a month at this point, and I love it. It has made such a difference already. So I'm really curious to see what my lashes are going to look like in a few months because I can see a noticeable difference in length. Some people say it takes longer than that for a serum to kick in, but I'm telling you that one has worked so quickly. That being said, my favorite brow serum is the Grande Brow for sure. It has made such a difference in my brows, and I don't know if you can tell necessarily if you see me like on camera because my brows still look kind of thin, but I can tell a big difference. I feel like they are so thick. They're a little bit darker, which I don't know that it's changed the color of my brows as much as like kind of filled them in so they look darker. But I'm so impressed by the results of the Grande Brow. Like that is something I will continue to use. I kind of want to switch and use the did I ever say? The Ordinary's lash serum is what I was using. I kind of want to switch and use that on my brows because it is working so well on my eyelashes, but also the Grande Brow is working so well, so I don't know. But my favorite lash serum is the Ordinary's lash serum, and then my favorite brow serum is from Grande Brow. I think that is everything in the eye category. Let's talk about lip products, and then I will finish up with cheek products. So, I forgot lip liner. Do I have a favorite lip liner? I don't know that I do from Sephora. Honestly, I would probably say the Charlotte Tilbury lip cheats are my favorite, but I don't love them enough to continually repurchase those. I have two. I have Pillow Talk, and then I also have like this cooler toned nude one, which is so pretty. And I love them and I still use them, but I haven't repurchased them in a while. So that's kind of like an unofficial favorite. But my favorite lip gloss formula, this was such a hard choice because there were like a million products that I loved in this category. But I am going with Patrick Ta. I love these Patrick Ta glosses so much. We went out of town in January, and this is like the only lip product I wore. I just kind of switched back and forth between these two. This is the Major Volume Plumping Gloss. So I have the shades 2ccs, which I am wearing today, over a lipstick. But it's just a really pretty, like, juicy sheer pink. It looks nice on its own, too. It's more natural without anything underneath. And then I also have the shade Full Syringe. This is, like, my favorite I don't know. I was going to say my favorite lip gloss shade of all time. There's another one I'm going to talk about, but that falls under Lip Plumper. I love this. It just gives your lips like such a juicy, sheer wash of like a candy apple red. It's so pretty. These do have a cinnamon scent and they do plump the lips a little bit, but they're not too over the top by any means. I just think they're so pretty. And I don't know that like there's anything super special about these. I feel like they just wear well, they look good, they're comfortable, they're glossy, so I wear them a lot. I love them. My favorite lip plumper is also one of my favorite lip glosses, but it fell under the lip plumper category, so that's where I'm including it. These are the Fenty Gloss Bomb Heats. I love these. I love Fenty's Gloss Bomb line as a whole. They have the original ones that have shimmer in them. They have the cream version, which is probably my least favorite, just because it is a little bit more pigmented, and I do tend to like their sheer finishes overall. And then they have the Gloss Bomb Heats. These are so good. They do not have any shimmer in them, except for the gold one. So they just give you like this juicy wash of color. Like they're very similar looking to the Patrick Ta glosses, because I have the Fenty red one and then the Patrick Ta red one, and I feel like they're kind of interchangeable, but these really plump up the lips. I think they just look so pretty because they're sheer and they're so glossy, so they make your lips look incredibly full, and I just like the way they feel and look. So these are my favorites for sure. They do work if you're looking for the plumping aspect, but on top of that, I just love the way they look and I love the colors. My favorite is Hot Chocolate Heat. It looks dark in the tube, but it's more sheer on the lips. It's so pretty. These were under the lip balm category. I don't know that I would consider these lip balms, but they were definitely my favorite. And honestly, like if I'm wearing a lip gloss, I'll usually reach for one of these three formulas, and they kind of do different things, but these also have like a little bit of a plumping quality to them. These are the Makeup by Mario Moisture Glow Plumping Lip Serums. They feel so good on the lips. They're so glossy, super smooth. They're definitely more of a thin formula, and I do find that after I wear them and they wear off, like my lips feel really moisturized all day long. Surprisingly, these last a good amount of time on the lips. Like I'll apply them before I go somewhere, and I don't even have to bring it with me, and I feel like by the time I get home, like my lips still feel and look really smooth. So I do find that they're kind of long lasting for like a glossy lip product. So I really love these. I don't know if there was, oh, you know what? The other lip balm or lip treatment I love from Sephora is the Too Faced Hangover Balm. That one's like a true lip balm, like a liquefied lip balm that I use throughout the day. But I do love these. I think they're gorgeous. I don't have a liquid lipstick to share with you or a lip stain. I do want to try the Fenty lip stain, but by the time that one was actually back in stock after being sold out for months, I had kind of moved on from lip stains and I was just reaching for other lip products. As for liquid lipsticks, I just don't tend to reach for those a ton. And if I do, I usually just go with one I already own. So I don't know, I would have said the Smashbox ones. Like those were my favorite for a long time, but they dry out so quickly. So I haven't repurchased them in a while. For lipstick though, I would have to go with this one, which is kind of random because I don't know that I talk about it a lot on my channel, but it is something I use a lot. These are the Too Faced Lady Bold Cream Lipsticks. I mean, the formula is just really good. Very comfortable. They're super creamy, very pigmented, intense. Like when you wear this formula, it feels like a high-end formula. Buttery, smooth, rich, pigmented. They stay in place well. I love the shape of the actual lipstick because I feel like you can just kind of like define your Cupid's bow really well. They're so nice. Let's finish up with cheek products. So again, blush for me was kind of like a hard choice because there are so many gorgeous blushes, but then I guess in the end it really wasn't because I settled on this one kind of quickly. This is like my favorite blush of all time. The Patrick Ta Double Take Cream and Powder Blush, specifically in the shade She's So LA. I wear this so much. If you haven't tried these blushes, they're duos. So you get a powder and then a cream, but sometimes I'll just use the cream or I'll just use the powder, or I'll layer them together, and I feel like I've really gotten my money's worth out of this one because I have used it a ton. The color is perfect, but I think because it is a duo, the price is definitely more justifiable because you can wear it 3 different ways, each side alone or together. I got the shade She's That Girl not too long ago, but this one is really pretty too. It's like a bright pink, and I feel like this will be my go-to during the springtime. I kind of wanted like a bright pink blush after everyone was talking about like that Dior blush and all of the dupes, but I didn't necessarily want something like so bubblegum pink, so I felt like this was just a little bit more practical for me personally, and it's beautiful. It looks really intimidating in the pan, but you can definitely go in with a light hand. For bronzer, I had to go with the Makeup by Mario Soft Sculpt Shaping Stick, and I have the shade Lite. I love this. I've actually been using it kind of a lot lately. I shopped my stash in like the beginning of the year for some older favorites that I hadn't used in a while, and I just fell back in love with this one again. It's such a gorgeous cream bronzer. It's very effortless to use. It looks really natural on the skin, and it's very, very long lasting. I've actually just been applying this directly to the brush and then stippling it on my skin, and I definitely get more of like a natural diffused look when I do that. But if you want something more dramatic, you can draw it directly onto the skin and blend it out that way. It's really, really pretty. I still want to try the Makeup by Mario cream blushes because I love this so much. I feel like I would love the blushes too. Highlight is having a moment this year, and there are a bunch of new high-end highlighters that people love, like the Rare Beauty ones, the Charlotte Tilbury ones. I think there were a few other options, but I don't know, like after all these years, I have not found anything to top my Becca highlighters, and these are still available. They're just sold under Smashbox now. So if you never tried these, I feel like these are still such a good option in 2023. I wear the shades Opal and Champagne Pop pretty much every day. Today I'm not, am I wearing highlighter today? Yeah, I'm wearing a cream highlighter from Milani. But when I wear a powder highlighter, like this really is still my go-to formula. And I've tried other high-end highlighters, but I just don't, nothing tops these for me. These just look so smooth on the skin. What's your favorite highlighter formula? I actually don't have a ton of highlighters in my collection. Like when I open up my drawer, it's highlighters and bronzers, and they're just kind of like bouncing around in there because I just don't have tons, because the truth is, like every time I try a new one, it just doesn't compare to these two. Last category is cheek palette, and for me, it is the Natasha Denona Bloom Blush and Glow palette. I love this palette. I actually purchased it twice because I bought it when it first launched and I used it a ton, and then I completely lost it, and I still to this day do not know what happened to it. I don't know if I accidentally decluttered it, if I gave it to someone because they liked it, if I left it somewhere when I was traveling. I have no idea, because I did bring it with me a lot when we traveled that year, whatever year that was. So anyway, I repurchased this, was it last year? I think it was last year, or maybe the year before, and I'm glad I did because it's so beautiful. I love the shades in here, and I do get more use out of it now than I did back in the day because I really like the creams, even that darker red, because you can definitely sheer it out. There's a highlighter, there's a glowy blush. I just think it is a really pretty cheek palette to own. This was a fun video to film. Whenever I get to talk about like all of my favorite products, I just feel like it's a lot of fun to share. So if you want to see this, but like hair care or skincare, let me know, or let me know if you want to see a video on like the worst products I tried in every category. But thanks for being here. I really appreciate it. I hope you guys have an amazing day, and I'll see you very soon with a new video. Bye.